So guys, before we get into this video, let me share with you some of the trending headlines. You know, Sheik Gumi came out to tell Tinubu to stop every military collaboration with the United States. That came after the US struck the hideouts of terror guys in northwest Nigeria. Sheik Gumi is telling Tinubu, stop every military collaboration you are having with the United States. Now, see the advice that Sheik Gumi is giving the Tinubu's government. This headline here says, Sheik Gumi to federal government, instead of US, seek help from Pakistan, Turkey, others. So Sheik Gumi is like the one that gives the directive. He's the one that decides the fate of the terrorists, whether Nigeria should negotiate or not, whether we should collaborate or not. You can see the audacity of Sheik Gumi when it comes to the insecurity that has been ravaging Nigeria. He was also spotted in a video where he said that these terror guys, I mean the Fulani terrorists, that that we must live with them. They are not going anywhere. The Nigerians must live with them. Now, this other headline here is Tinubu gave go ahead for US airstrike. It was a joint cooperation. This coming from federal government. This is after people started wondering if US just came in and started bombarding everywhere. Now, even the Minister for Foreign Affairs was spotted in a video confirming that they are in collaboration. They are working in collaboration with the United States government. Now, this headline here says, Nigerian military praises US for carrying out precision airstrikes on ICC-linked terrorists in Northwest. The Armed Forces of Nigeria has announced the successful execution of precision airstrikes against identified foreign ICC-linked terrorist elements operating in parts of the Northwest in close collaboration with the United States. In a statement issued on Friday, the Director of Defense Information, Major General Somaila Uba, said the operation reflects the federal government's determination to eliminate transnational terrorism. So guys, many people have also been wondering, why was this airstrike not on Borno? Why was it in Sokoto? But you can see now these are foreign elements. Some of them are coming from Mali. Like people say they are fleeing from Mali, Burkina Faso and all that, and they are entering Nigeria. Those were the ones that the United States targeted. Now this one here says US War Secretary Hegseth thanked Nigeria for cooperation in Christmas Day terror operation. So guys, you can see that they didn't just act like that. They worked in collaboration with the Tinubu's government. Now, some people have been saying that it's because Tinubu's body language has been very poor in terms of fighting insecurity. That's why the US had to come and do the job for him. And Nigerians are wondering why Tinubu just sat on top of all these terror guys entering Nigeria. We don't have any, you know, the borders are so porous. There is no proactive measure being taken by the government of the day to end terrorism. And that's why the US has no option than to come in and just this one-time airstrike, you know, has sent a very strong message to the terror guys. So guys, let me share with you some of the reactions coming from Nigerians after Sheik Gumi suggested to Tinubu to look for collaboration with Turkey and Pakistan, and that Tinubu should dump the US. Now, this person said this terrorist is not pretending at all. He is more than terrible. No wonder Saudi Arabia rejected him and bounced him out of Mecca, the Islamic Holy Land. And this other person here said, Sheik Gumi wants Nigeria to seek help only from Muslim nations with limited capacity while rejecting global military powers. That says a lot. Security is not about religion. It's about capacity, intelligence, and resolve. And this other person here says, has Pakistan, Turkey, others ever condemned the killing of Christians and innocent lives in Nigeria before? Since the US has rendered a helping hand, let them continue with the strikes and killing of the terrorists. And this other person here said, Sheik Gumi is a non-terrorist, fundamentalist, jihadist, enabler. And now he's trying to suggest for the Islamic countries that have well-established terrorist fundamentalists to be used to fight terrorists so that they will empower certain Islamic extremists systematically. And this other person here says Sheik Gumi is saying the federal government should talk to Turkey and Pakistan, which could be interpreted as the sources, sponsors, and backbone of terrorists in Nigeria. He has always visited Turkey and Pakistan. These are two Islamic countries that practice Sharia laws and extremism. And this other person finally here said, Gumi seems to be showing clear signs of dementia. He actually suggested we seek assistance from Pakistan, the very country where Osama bin Laden was located and eliminated. Terrorism is far more rampant in Pakistan than in Nigeria. It's obvious he's pushing for help, specifically for a Muslim nation. Trump should make sure Gumi gets his own special Christmas gift package. So guys, these are Nigerians, rejecting and lambasting Gumi for telling Tinubu to go to Pakistan and Turkey to seek for collaboration and not the United States. Now, let me allow you to take a look at how Ojupe and our other Arise crew members have all dissected the strong strike on terror guys in Nigeria. Now, take a look.
The nation reacting to the multiple surprise Christmas Day strikes launched in what has been described as a joint operation between the United States and Nigeria against the Islamic State in the northwestern state of Sokoto. The attack was announced in a series of messages, statements, and videos released overnight from both governments on Thursday, which began with a post from US President Donald Trump on his Truth Social profile, in which he stated that the attack came at his direction as Commander-in-Chief. And I'll read Trump's statement. He wrote, "Tonight, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly strike against ISIS terrorist scum in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christians at levels not seen for many years and even centuries. I have previously warned these terrorists that if they did not stop the slaughtering of Christians, there would be hell to pay. And tonight, there was. The Department of War executed numerous perfect strikes, as only the United States is capable of doing. Under my leadership, our country will not allow radical Islamic terrorists to prosper. May God bless our military, and Merry Christmas to all, including the dead terrorists, of which there will be many more if their slaughter of Christians continue." And this was a very powerful message from Donald Trump yesterday. We were all sleeping when this message came out. Well, here is a footage from the operation showing what officials describe as a divisive strike against the terror group on Christmas night. Well, U.S. authorities have warned that further strikes will follow if the violence against Christians continues. But, this message was, gathered a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of Nigerians, didn't really understand whether or not the strike came at the order of the U.S. president, like he has written, or as a joint operation, which we have seen from the Nigerian government. And I'll take this tweet from TÈRR0RISTS, who wrote, "I am almost convinced that the response from Nigeria's foreign affairs was an afterthought. Clearly, the United States cannot be restrained from eliminating notorious terrorists. President Trump's statement did not suggest that the operation was carried out in collaboration with the Nigerian government. His words were explicit. At my direction as Commander-in-Chief, not in partnership with Nigeria. Let's even assume, without conceding, that the Nigerian government was aware of the operation. Why then did the statement not come directly from the president himself, using the same authoritative language? At my directive as Commander-in-Chief. I be president, they sleep. Sleep where he no sleep when INEC declare him president at 3 a.m. I strongly doubt that the Nigerian government was aware of the timing of the targeted strike. The public should not be deceived by after-the-fact statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. What we are witnessing looks more like reactive diplomacy than proactive security leadership." And I'm reading this tweet because this is the minds of a lot of Nigerians who rightly believe that this might not be a joint, attack. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth confirmed the launch in a post on X, thanking the Nigerian government for cooperating with the United States on the attack. And here is Pete's tweet. He wrote, "The president was clear last month. The killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and elsewhere must end. At the Department of War is always ready. So ISIS found out tonight on Christmas. More to come. Grateful for Nigerian government support and cooperation. Merry Christmas." Even AFCOM released a statement, and I'll read that. They wrote, "At the direction of the President of the United States and Secretary of War, and in coordination with Nigerian authorities, U.S. Africa Command conducted strikes against ISIS terrorists in Nigeria on December 25th, 2025 in Sokoto State." Another confirmation there. Also, the Nigerian military has also confirmed conducting the precision strikes against ISIS elements in northwest Nigeria. In a statement released today, the Director of Defense Information, Major General Samilia Uba, said the operation was a joint effort between the armed forces of Nigeria and the United States, adding that the strikes were approved by federal government authorities and followed credible intelligence aimed at degrading the terrorist group's capability. Well, in this same statement, the Nigerian Army reiterated its commitment to restoring peace and security across Nigeria. And I'll take this final tweet, a reaction that, gladdened my heart. Lucky wrote on X, "Yes, this is good news. Reports confirm U.S. airstrikes against ISIS elements in Sokoto State carried out in coordination with Nigeria." Beyond the headlines, this is a strong statement against terrorism and a reminder that global security is interconnected. For a nation bruised by insurgency, banditry, and bloodshed, disrupting extremist networks is no small win. If peace is the greatest gift any country can receive, then degrading terror cells that prey on innocent lives may be one of the most meaningful gifts Nigeria gets this season. Security first, everything else follows. Finally, on ground in Jabo village of Sokoto State, a new video showing the debris from the aftermath of the missile launch on the terrorists has made the rounds on social media. Let's take a look.
We just want to if there is something you don't like, please let us see if there is something here. Wait, see the
Please. That's the actual thing that is happening in Jabo town now. And so we're gonna bomb go into Nigeria, the house.
All right, that's a reaction on ground. The villagers have said that there was no casualty in this incident. However, this video highlights the human impact of these attacks and how ordinary citizens often have to deal with the consequences of the aftermath. And I'll take one final post on X. This person wrote, "Why bomb northwest Nigeria on Christmas, claiming to protect Christians, when experts say most killings there are from bandits fighting over land and resources, killing way more Muslims?" And that's another rhetoric that we have to deal with this whole intervention.
Very important for information management and ensuring that only the fact is what is being shared at this point in time, because we've seen a number of responses to these attacks. The first thing is that the first fact on ground is that it was a joint operation. Yes, you might criticize or not like the way in which the information was shared or the timing or who shared the information first, as I've just seen the PDP statement on these attacks, whereby I thought it was quite good to say that when it comes to joint operations like this, Nigeria ought to take the lead, or at least share that responsibility to ensure that we're not hearing about what's happening on our own soil by a foreign party, even if it's the United States of America. So you can take that feedback away. But consistently, whether it's from the military, Director of Defense Information, or from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it is clear that Nigeria worked with the United States by providing credible intelligence and by approving the airstrikes before it happened. That's a statement on ground. That's what happened. It's important to put that out there. Now, I think it's also very dangerous to try to put a slant to it, so that, it's Christian, there's terrorism. And when we talk about terrorism, it makes sense, or the sensible thing to note is that it's not only where they operate that their cells are located. You can operate in the northeast and have cells in the northwest. And what we had said was that this was done after weeks of intelligence gathering, and so a response was done with regards to the first airstrikes. It has been said that this is the first, but potentially the first of a number of airstrikes if we do have issues around this instance. So I think it's important to put those facts out there. Another thing to mention that's important is that when we talk about the region most affected by terrorism and acts of terrorism, it's the northern region. And so the most important things on the mind of the people should be this: how does this affect us? would this be finally a light at the end of this long tunnel of insecurity that we have had to endure for at least 15 years? And if that is the case, then all hands should be on deck to support the efforts of the Nigerian government to finally decimate the terrorists. The only other thing to then talk about is the number of casualties in terms of collateral damage. Yes, this is a thing because in the past we've seen where Nigerian Air Force strikes themselves, whether in Zamfara earlier this year or last year in the same Sokoto on Christmas Day, had some civilian casualties. Every single Nigerian life matters. So what they're saying is that the reason why they keep using the word precision is that it was precise to attack the terrorists themselves with as minimum as possible, civilian collateral damage. This is the fact on ground currently. The most important thing, Oji, is that finally we see a seriousness and a deliberateness to destroy and decimate terrorism and terrorists in Nigeria. Right. That is what the Nigerian people should be celebrating this morning.
I'm also getting reports from, Bayo Ononuga, he reposted the Foreign Ministry's statement about the joint efforts, but I think that he alluded to the fact that the attack also occurred in Zamfara State, Rufai. I don't believe I greeted you all this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Business.
Yes, we're here to work. How are you this morning? Ruby on fire.
Oji. So he alluded to the fact that it also happened in Zamfara State, in Sokoto State. And see, the attack has just even sent shockwaves everywhere around the northern part of the country this morning. Let's not deny that fact. What do we want? We want an end to terrorism, right? So why are we complaining about the first step? Because this is decisive. I mean, for the very first time, we talked about the fact that America didn't give us weapons due to the Leahy laws. Anyway, they sold super tucanos to us once Trump came in the first time. We talked about the fact that we might not have capacity to be able to fight these
stringent constitutions.
Yes, for the use
of the
super tucano. Okay, but it was during Buhari's time that super tucano finally came in.
Yeah, but
the process has started.
Government
got so Buhari finally got
the initial
that
process.
Secondly, we talk about the fact that we can't do this alone. That we need expertise from America, isn't it? Didn't we all argue across board that we need expertise? In fact, we also argued about boots on the ground, because I'm just trying to chronicle the conversation we had leading up to this. That's okay, maybe America can put boots on the ground and everything. So why, when America probably used a Tomahawk that I know that we don't even have in our military arsenal or fleets, because if I check the price of a Tomahawk missile, it's going to cost a lot. I'm not sure in any way in Nigerian arsenal we have it like a Tomahawk missile that can go about close to 1,500 or 2,500 kilometers. We use a long precision strike missile. It got in there. We had an attack. In fact, luckily or unluckily, the villagers have not complained of anything as regards a casualty. In fact, you can see the villagers hovering around there. It's just for us to be able to get a recce. Then why after that, we are now hearing narrative by some people that, hey, why must it be America? Secondly, some people are even trying to tell us to our face without providing facts that, Nigeria didn't do anything with America. It's America alone that did it.
Well, that was how Trump posted. Acted like it was just at his command, as commander-in-chief.
At least.
I mean, I thought that was,
we have seen
Trump style.
It's braggadocious.
Yes.
But we have seen from our own authorities that it was a collaborative effort. And you need intelligence here. And I've also pointed the fact that it's not today that we've had that level of intelligence. Yeah. Thirdly, then you now start to hear narrative about religious dynamics. All of a sudden, we all remember that. We all agreed leading up to this time that America should help us. Then the likes of Sheik Gumi now say, I don't mind terrorists being killed, but as long as it's on holy hands like America, I have a problem with it. But the same Sheik Gumi that doesn't mind on holy hands like America supplying aids through USAID that they used to feed poor children in the same northern part of the country, he doesn't mind the aid though. The aid is not unholy. All of a sudden, to kill the bandits and the terrorists, I become unholy. He said Nigeria Bush should go in there. Then the next narrative, all of a sudden they are now plotting, is the fact that when you look at this, it is denting our sovereignty. The same thing that Nigeria admitted that it's us and America that worked on this. So they choose to ignore that statement, and now they are now saying it's denting our sovereignty. Oji, see, the Nigeria that I know very well, in the coming weeks, it will continue. In fact, I think Sheikh Sani has even come out to say this morning that Nigeria should know that going forward, that Nigeria needs to solve its own problem internally and say, we know all these things.
All right.
But the question we are asking is, why is this strike all of a sudden causing jiggy and everything? Oji, you will get more of this reaction. It just shows that to a large extent, what we say we want, when we now start to see the results, some people don't get happy about it.
Right.
And we need to be careful.
All right.
Misinformation will continue in the coming days.
All right.
So you will see people trying to skew narrative. But
right.
please, let's stay tall. President Tinubu, on this, you have started a process. You know, I don't agree with you on a lot of things, President Tinubu, but on this, the process, you started to end terrorism.
All right.
I know it will come with consequences, but stay tall.
All right. Dr. Abati, was, quite reassuring to see the Department of War by your Secretary of War, Peter Hegseth, respond in the manner that he did. And, I think that was a reassuring tweet that there was this collaboration between the United States and Nigeria. But, when we saw Donald Trump's tweet, how can you fault some Nigerians that believe that this was an invasion by the U.S. without collaboration? Those are the sort of questions out there.
Trump will always be Trump.
Yes.
Trumpism. Yesterday I was saying that, Trump, either for negative or positive reasons, is the main subject of the year 2025 in terms of his interventions within the international space. Now, Trump has gone to Syria to have military operation, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Yemen, Somalia, and now Nigeria. And so, he fits into a pattern. And he's speaking also to the conservative Christian evangelist base in the United States, whom he had promised that he would defend the interests of Christians anywhere in the world. So there's that political subtext to it, to say, I promise to go after radical Islamists anywhere in the world. Now we're in Nigeria. But the clarification came from both the War Secretary, Pete Hegseth, and also from the Nigerian authorities, who said this is about collaboration. And collaboration, cooperation has been part of this narrative, with the Nigerian government saying originally that, look, we want cooperation. With the Nigerian government proposing and achieving the objective of a Nigeria-US working group on the basis of which two delegations from the US came here, and the National Security Advisor led a delegation to the United States. People must expect some form of outcome in that regard.
Of course.
So there's no need for any quibbling. Number two is the geopolitics of it. Now, I said earlier when Vimbai was here that, look, the Americans, AFRICOM, they call it, African Command.
AFRICOM, yes.
Their biggest operation is in Djibouti. But they maintain training, patrolling operations in cooperation with other countries within the West African region. Cameroon, Ghana, Nigeria, and, another country, is it Guinea also? No, I forget the next country. So this operation was from the Gulf of Guinea, from USS Paul Ignatius. That was where they fired the Tomahawk missile from. And that means that, there is American presence within the Gulf of Guinea. And the geopolitics of it is that it may be Nigeria today, it may be another country tomorrow. Because after all, it's not only in Nigeria that we have terrorism, where they have it in Mali, they have it in other countries within the Sahel. Right. Now America is positioning itself. The third thing is this thing about misinformation. There's a lot of work for the Ministry of Information of Nigeria to do. Absolutely. A lot of work for the Directorate of Defense in the Defense Headquarters to take on these narratives that are coming up from people who are being mischievous, from people who are being deliberately ignorant, from people who are trying to politicize this. Global terrorism, the main issue is about cooperation. And the Nigerian government must give us information, even about the casualties, in case there are casualties, because as Trump has promised that he will return if he sees that ISIS and Boko Haram are not relenting, then of course we may get to a point where there will be collateral damage.
Absolutely.
Which is the reality of war.
Okay.
Dr. But just to quickly debunk the misinformation going on, in fact, AFRICOM, General David Anderson, commander of AFRICOM, has confirmed that it was a working relationship between Nigeria and regional partners to increase, so that is confirmed. So for those that say it's only Nigerian authorities, it's not only Nigerian authorities that confirmed that it was a cooperation, it was both AFRICOM and Nigerian authorities.
So, and it's a style.
I read that with that.
Thank you. Thank you.
The President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, and the Department of War have confirmed the launch of numerous airstrikes against ISIS terrorists in Sokoto State, northwest Nigeria, that they have described as perfect, powerful, and deadly. Now, this development was revealed after a series of posts on both X and Truth Social from Trump, Pete Hegseth, and the Department of War itself. The federal government of Nigeria has also confirmed that the strike was performed with its full collaboration in line with established international practice and bilateral understandings. So whilst further details continue to unfold, here is what we do know. It is very likely that this attack may have been launched from the U.S. Navy destroyer known as the USS Paul Ignatius. I hope they can help us put that Navy warship on the screen so you can see the USS Paul Ignatius. And it would have been using Tomahawk cruise missiles. Now, the U.S. Naval Forces Europe and Africa confirmed a port visit of a similar battleship. What you're seeing on your screen is actually a Tomahawk missile. Now, a similar battleship was spotted in Agadir, Morocco on December 9th, and this was confirmed via Twitter by the U.S. Navy. Now, prior to that, it had moored at the Toulon Navy base in France on November 20th. So it has been used for NATO exercises in the past under the Operation Steadfast Defender 2024. It's named after Paul Ignatius, who served as a U.S. Secretary of the Navy under President Lyndon Johnson from 1967 to 1969, and it was commissioned into service into 2019. Now, of course, what you see on your screen at the moment are the Tomahawk cruise missiles. So let's talk about Tomahawk cruise missiles briefly. They are long-range precision weapons that conventionally strike against fixed or semi-fixed targets by using GPS, terrain contour matching, and scene matching. They fly at a low altitude and so are usually very difficult to detect by radar, and that's why they are said to be so impactful. They're typically used for what is known as the opening phases of war. Now, in the past, Tomahawk cruise missiles have been used in Iraq, former Yugoslavia, Libya, and Syria. However, it's also very important for us to note that only the instance of Libya represents a collaborative effort with the nation's government, because at that time, the National Transitional Council had actually actively requested for military support. However, in the cases of former Yugoslavia, Iraq, and so forth, those examples can be described as attacks or invasions. Now, let's come back here to Nigeria, of course, as the airstrikes also came after weeks of United States intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance flights. That's ISR flights over the area. So you can see these on your screen now. This is some data extracted from open source intelligence sources. So you have apps like Flight Radar, for example, where you can go and you can see all aviation activity that happens in the world. It's free, it's accessible to everybody. And you have aviation aficionados who track these aircraft. So you can see here in the Sokoto area where this aircraft, the bottom has been cut off, but the information also contained here will describe the nature of the aircraft. So this was them doing surveillance, trying to get more information of the area. This was on a different day as well, where some similar activity was taking place. And this has been happening over and over again and was also widely reported. Now, however, the targeted area, if we can now move over to our map of the region, the targeted area in the northwest is better known for banditry, whilst concentration of terrorist activity is largely in the northeast. Now, if they can help me with the map on the wall, we want to look at some of the geopolitical dimensions in the region, because we know that Islamic State activity in this area is largely attributed to being an offshoot to similar activity in next-door Niger. Another concern is the expanding presence of Jenim from Burkina Faso into northern Benin Republic and now spilling across the border with Nigeria. So we actually did have a detailed map that showed where the pockets exist, because the other questions were, why is it that this strike did not happen in northeast Nigeria, where we know there's a high concentration of Boko Haram? But that map showed us that if you look at the border with Benin Republic, and if you look at the neighboring border for Benin Republic to Burkina Faso and Niger, you see that there's a huge confluence of Jenim and IS as well that are starting to spill over into the Nigerian border. So that context, okay, we finally have that map. So of course we have Sokoto here, and this green color represents the Islamic State. This color here represents Jenim. So you can see that there's a lot of activity happening there. And this is just to address the conversation that people are saying, why not northeast? You can see that there's a huge impending threat coming from the northwestern side because of the activity in the rest of the region. What will the responses of Niger, Burkina Faso be? And of course, we know the Sahel states and Mali. Now, let's move on to reactions on the ground. Videos of residents of Jabo village in Tambuwal local government area of Sokoto state have emerged as they are seen to be examining the debris from the strike. Now, we take a look at that video. But whilst we wait on details on casualties, it is clear that the community is still concerned and shaken by the developments. Now, I want to come back to the screen again very quickly, because on the screen we have, okay, I'm going to step to the side. If you come back to me in the studio. So we have, this is one of the pieces of debris that has been picked up from Jabo village. This is cage code 07180, and this is a strong identifier as to the type of missile that was used. So this number here shows us that it belongs to Honeywell International Incorporated, which is a major U.S. defense contractor. They usually do inertial navigation systems, gyroscope and accelerometers, guidance and flight control electronics, and of course, largely used by U.S. and NATO. This next number here, the FSS 78-4, is consistent again with Honeywell flight or guidance systems. FSS is commonly associated with sensor or stabilization assemblies, and means that this particular missile was probably produced with ring laser and fiber optic gyros. Consistent again with cruise missiles, precision-guided munitions, UAVs, and advanced aircraft. Lastly, we go to the date code. The date code shows us that this is probably produced on week 47 of 2017. What does this mean? This is part of the upgraded Tomahawks. This is not the old stuff. So this is very, very advanced technology that was used. And then the electrostatic discharge warning symbol down here indicates that it's a sensitive electronic, so this is typical of guidance, navigation, control modules, and it's not consistent with any simple warhead. Again, this is sophisticated stuff. So all of these numbers, as picked up from the debris on the ground, show us that this is consistent with a Tomahawk missile being dropped on the ground, and it rules out any possibility of it having been dropped by a military aircraft or any UAV guidance subsystem. So that is confirmed, along with, I wish we could have seen the picture of that warship. If you've seen the flag on that on the warship, on the USS Paul Ignatius, you would have seen that it's also consistent with the video that the Department of War had uploaded onto social media earlier today to confirm that this is a warship that has come from France, docked in Morocco before stopping in Atlantic waters to launch this attack. Now, as we round up, let's take a look at what Israeli Prime Minister had to say. Benjamin Netanyahu has condemned against attacks on Christians in Nigeria. Of course, this message came before this attack. I have to make it clear. It came before the airstrike. But he is saying that the alleged displacement and violence of Christians is unacceptable, and he's calling for an immediate end to what he termed militant assault on Christian communities. Netanyahu made his remarks during a Christmas message delivered from Jerusalem. Speaking as Israel's prime minister in the holiday address to Christians worldwide, he warned that persecution based on religion cannot be justified anywhere. This is what he had to say.
The persecution of Christians or members of any religion cannot and must not be tolerated. And Muslim militant displacement and attacks against Christians in Nigeria, that too must end, and it must end now. I'm sending Israel's Christmas blessings to our Christian friends around the world.
All right, so it's likely that throughout the weekend and for the coming days, Nigeria is going to be in the global spotlight, and we're going to make sure, again, that we here as Nigerian media will lead that conversation. We'll take our newspaper headlines very quickly. It's a slow day because we know that most of our pressmen do need this time to take a bit of a breather, and I'm sure everybody was shocked when in the middle of the night this news broke. They would have wished that they didn't take Boxing Day off. But traditionally, this day does take the day off on Boxing Day. We'll quickly go to Punch newspaper. Punch is focusing on educational budgets, which is fantastic. Punch is reporting that Anambra, Enugu, Kanu, and Jigawa are leading education funding in their 2026 budgets, with Anambra allocating nearly 47% of its budget to education. Enugu followed with over 32%, while Kanu and Jigawa allocated about 30% and 26%. This is just such fantastic news. Now, unfortunately, in contrast, states like Akwa Ibom and Imo set aside less than 5%. So we're seeing huge disparities. But good to see that these states are following the UNESCO guidelines, which say 15 to 20% should be set aside for education. Leadership newspaper, very quickly, reports that Vice President Kashim Shettima, northern governors, and religious bodies and lawmakers have condemned the suicide bomb attack on a mosque in Maiduguri, Borno State, which killed at least 5 worshippers and injured over 30 others. And of course, authorities have now confirmed Boko Haram's involvement and vowed intensified security operations and urged unity against terrorism. We close with Daily Trust. Daily Trust, in contrast to what we're seeing in other papers, is focusing on peaceful Christmas nationwide. Now, of course, we just spoke about that attack that took place in the mosque in Borno, but when you look at a snapshot of the nation, one can say that the festive period so far has generally been a little bit more peaceful, fewer incidents, and worshippers marked the season without major incidents. But this is also amidst enhanced security patrols across the nation. And that is what Daily Trust is leading with. And of course, to close, stakeholders set agenda for new oil sector regulatory chiefs as our new heads of the oil sector agencies. Mrs. Orishemeiwa Eyeshon and Engineer Saidu Aliu Mohammed will be resuming work today, I believe. I'm not sure they're taking any holidays. And of course, people are setting the agenda of expectations, what we would like from NUPRC and NMDPRA. Wow, that's what we've got today. Quite a mouthful. Yeah.
Okay, so great. A lot of things to unpack. So actually now, from your reportage, we now know that it was only, from the USS Ignatius destroyer that probably came from. So probably, based on your inferences, they coasted into the Atlantic waters. A Tomahawk will normally do about a range of 2,500 kilometers. Yep. When you look at the range from the Atlantic Ocean into inland Sokoto or the borderline Sokoto, it's about 700 to 800 kilometers. So definitely a Tomahawk can cover that range of variation. So probably they came in through there, used a couple of Tomahawks and everything. So we now know her flight path. So obviously no drones were used. It was just pretty much this. And the serial codes of the charger and all of that, I think this is sub-D-line conductor, for the precision guided missile, like you said, GPRS outlay and precision striking in this system. So probably they coasted into the waters, but a lot has not been declassified. Only the picture of the ship has been declassified. Yeah. Number of Tomahawks used, not declassified yet, because we don't know how much number. I think the other part of the reportage we'll now want to see is recon on the ground, reconnaissance on the ground, impact heat. Yes, we've gotten some little recon picture, but it doesn't tell the story of everything. Like take for instance, maybe as daylight breaks, because that was taken deep in the middle of the night, you can see some villagers picking all of this, and these are some debris. So maybe as daylight break, we'll be able to see the real impact on targets. Then maybe maybe as at daylight, they'll be able to show, they'll be able to give the exact coordinates, to the Nigerian authorities to like probably do a recon on ground, and if possible, if the Nigerian authorities will be able to release a D-class report on the recon that they're going to do on ground. But let's see when the recce results come out. But it looks as though nothing happened, to the locals and the villagers. But like I said before, people will start pushing the narrative of those things. Dr. Abati, all the things I said, as I was analyzing on the show, you can see the narrative being espoused already. They'll push the narrative as regards, civilian rights and everything, but the villagers have not complained of anything as regards civilian rights. So the only thing was maybe the intrusion, the noise they heard in the middle of the night and all of that, and all of that that's happened. So it's a developing story. We would like to see the recce from the Nigerian authorities and ascertain casualty levels from the recces of the Nigerian authorities.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at this point, more than ever, based on the potential politicization of this airstrike, is to manage information and to ensure that people get the right information. And that's why, in terms of giving numbers and facts, we've been very careful this morning because it has to be done sensitively. We had Mr. Jega speak about the feelings among some of the residents in that area, and you talk about how some of the, the residents, the people in that community have come out a bit apprehensive. Some of them, and as expected, some of them are unsure. And at this point, to manage any potential of reprisals based on misinformation, it is important that people are very careful with the language that they use. And that's why I move away very strongly against what people like Sheik Gumi this morning have released without any kind of rigor in terms of the information they have on ground, and it's just baiting and just going to cause a lot of division through misinformation. And that's why I just want to appeal to people this morning that based on the information gotten so far, the number of casualties have been minimized, and deliberately so that the people in the northern region ought to be rejoicing and celebrating the fact that at a very long while they might be seeing some hope, some light at the end of the tunnel based on the decimation of terrorists. The key word is that it's terrorists that are being targeted, not civilians. It's not a call of war or declaration of war in that region. It is just simply terrorists being decimated. And finally, on this note, that when we spoke about Maiduguri, Borno State the night before, we must remember that it is the people in the northern region who are in very many cases the most affected when it comes to actions of terrorism. And that's why every single Nigerian at this point, patriotic, must put hands together to ensure that whether we're working with international partners or not, we come out of this victorious and we fight the terrorists once and for all.
Well, in addition to all that I said when we were discussing the headlines, I would just like to add a few more points. Yesterday, I was talking about...
So, guys, let me still take you through some of the headlines after United States, drop its bomb against ICC people, terror guys in Nigeria. Like this one here, see, the U.S. Secretary of War has now released footage of the airstrike against Nigeria ISWAP terrorist group upon the order of United States President. And that was when early morning when this news broke, which Nigerians applauded Donald Trump to have gone all out against the terrorists, because guess what? Nigeria has been on this for a very long time, and the North will not allow anybody in power to fight terrorists. When Jonathan was there, they said any attack on Boko Haram is attack on the North. They say they don't touch them, they are our freedom fighters. The North has always protected these terrorists, and now Jonathan let Buhari came. Buhari, all the attacks that will happen, Buhari will say, go and live with your brethren, learn how to live with your brethren. Buhari wanted people to accommodate the Fulanis, and when the Fulanis come, they want to kill you to take over your land. So there wasn't that political will to fight terrorism. Now Tinubu has come, and because Tinubu still has ambition for 2027, Tinubu does not want to go all out against the terrorists, because he believes if he should do that, the North is going to reject it. The question remains, why is the North protecting these terrorists? Why are they protecting the terrorists? Now, this was a breaking news. U.S. conducts airstrike on ICC targets in northwest Nigeria on Christmas Day. President Donald Trump announced on Truth Social that he directed the U.S. military to execute a powerful and deadly strike against ICC terrorists in northwest Nigeria on December 25, 2025. The operation, carried out by U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, in a coordination with the Nigerian authorities, targeted militants in Sokoto State who have been accused of viciously attacking Christian communities. Initial reports confirms multiple ICC-affiliated terrorists were killed in precision airstrike, with no civilian casualty reported. Trump emphasized this as a direct response on the ongoing slaughter of Christians, warning of further action if violence continues. This marks a significant U.S. military engagement in the region, highlighting renewed effort to combat radical Islamic terrorism. This video, okay, that's a video that was attached to that. So this was the moment that Donald Trump actually, this post started circulating about Trump coming to Nigeria to bomb Nigeria. This person say, as long as Sokoto Caliphate exists, Nigeria may not have peace. So many people believe that the Sultan is not doing much. You can imagine in his own territory, these terrorists are coming in from Niger, from Mali, and the rest of it. They are coming to take over. Nigerians believe that the Sultan is not doing much. This person say, what's ICC doing in Nigeria? This is what our leader, nnamdi Kanu, warned Nigerians about. ICC coming today. It's happening. God bless our leader. This is the original video of the airstrike. Okay, these are just some reactions. So, but Nigerians are saying, as long as the Sokoto Caliphate exists, Nigeria may not know peace. So Nigerians believe that the Sultan has a lot of answers to give as regards to what is happening in Nigeria. The way the North has been so silent, it's really so sad that they are coming out now to speak against the airstrike. Now, this other headline also captured the same thing. Seeing this bit coming from Pete Hegseth. He said the president was clear last month the killing of innocent Christians in Nigeria and elsewhere must end. The Department of War is always ready. So ICC found out tonight on Christmas. More to come. Grateful to Nigerian government support and cooperation. Merry Christmas. So Nigerians are saying yes, that they are happy that Trump kept to his word and Trump does not inform you before he come, Now, this other person say U.S. military conducts a strike against ICC in northwest Nigeria on Christmas Day. Let's see how some Nigerians are reacting. This person say, fools suffering the same divide and conquer in 2025 that the ancestors suffered in 1986 from the same people. Missile will continue to land over Nigeria, east, west, north, and U.S. will land in the south to steal resources as payment for destroying the rest of Nigerians' food. So this person is trying to say that Donald Trump is coming for, is coming for resources. Another person, you want to play with powerhouse Trump, una think say na Obama. Thanks fucking Trump, the man is a feared and respected figure of president. Aside US, aside even Putin, cut him cap. Don't play, people don't play. Tinubu knows that man, that's why he decided to go and be cleansing shoe for Macron. This person says, Ona Karim nnamdi Kanu keep for Sokoto prison, a whole god of Ndibo. This one says, there's nothing in intelligence or redeeming in having your country bombed by a foreign power. You will soon see the folly in your statement. And this person here said, let's hope when the kanu face the southeast to terminate your IPOB terrorist borders. And this person here said, Adandi will address them as what they are. They are not bandits but terrorists. So guys, exactly best gift for Christmas. President Trump guns are blazing is active. Breaking Sokoto prison has been bombed by the US. Breaking Sokoto prison has been bombed by... Okay, this person is trying to say that if Sokoto prison is bombed, then it's going to affect nnamdi Kanu. Anyway, guys, I don't know what you make of all this. Honestly, there are some reactions here that you even be laughing at. Now, the White House also tweeted as regards to this. This coming from the White House, and it says, tonight, at my direction as Commander-in-Chief, the United States launched a powerful and deadly airstrike against ISIS-COM in northwest Nigeria, who have been targeting and viciously killing primarily innocent Christian Donald Trump. So this is what the White House put out there, and there were a lot of reactions. Some people are in support, some people are not. This person saying His Excellency Donald Trump is the greatest friend Nigerian Christians have had in the history of the White House. Thank you for protecting Christians. Now, this other person here says, thank you, Portus. God bless America. We safe Nigeria group, okay? USA came to Washington DC, pleaded for help to stop the genocide. America answered tonight. We really want to see more of this. And 3 days ago, Nigerian Christian appealed to Trump for help to stop the radical Islamic terror attacks against Nigerian Christians. And today, Trump has responded. So these Nigerians are really majorly happy with what has happened, you know. Nigerians, see, what we just need is good leader. And these politicians, because when they come into power and they are hoping to run again for another term, their hands are tied. Tinubu's hand is tied because he wants to come back again, you know. Get them all. Now let's get Fulani terrorists and Boko Haram and the main ones doing most of the killing. We will be praying for all to be brought to justice. So guys, many Nigerians are really applauding Donald Trump for the steps he has taken so far, you know, coming to Nigerian people's aid especially. So at least this strike is going to send a warning to those terror guys, just for them to know that Trump is not playing. And this other person here said, breaking, it has been confirmed that the Nigerian government is fully cooperating with the President Trump on striking Muslim terrorists in the region to stop the extermination of Christians. More strike if the slaughter of Christians continues. Strength. So guys, this is what is happening in Nigeria today. I don't know what you make of all this. Let me know your own thoughts in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification. Thank you.